BBC Radio London. It's your boy Lionheart here. We've got less than 30 minutes to go. So right now, let's see if we can squeeze in as many phone calls as we can. Right now, I've got the incredible Nick. And Nick, you're going to have to agree with me because you are incredible. How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm not feeling too incredible. I'm feeling a bit low today, but hearing your voice always cheers me up, Lion, so that's good news.
I'll do my best to speak more, my friend. Talk to me, all right? Talk to me. Why aren't you feeling... If you don't want to share, again, I'll honestly respect
it's related.
that.
I mean, I've had long COVID for 16 months it's coming up to. We're the 22nd now. On the 25th, it'll be 16 months. My doctor today, I had another check-in with. I mean, I've never met my doctor. I've never met my GP. I've been in hospital for various emergency, heart things, sepsis things, possible stroke things, all these life-changing things. I've never met my GP, and today I found out the earliest I could see a specialist is going to be the end of September, and that the so-called government-provided long COVID clinic, which I was promised a referral to several months ago, is still not even opened. And I just feel completely, washed, depressed, I feel like giving up, to be honest, at the moment. And that's in a sort of how much energy and effort has been my survival, as I call it, for so long, living on my own. And today I just had a shock of bad news, and then it just hit me. There's so little support going on. And while cases of COVID have dropped substantially in the UK, there's all these millions of people like myself, suffering with long COVID. And I just feel we're completely ignored with very little, if any, hope, very little interest. And the whole focus on, football in India this week, it just makes me and thousands of others that, I see in my support groups feel completely disillusioned and, depressed and low. It worries me.
What do you think is going wrong in the world right now? And that's a very, very broad question, Nick, all right? But hearing you say that, hearing you talk about long COVID, and as you said before, and you said it again tonight, all right? Some people are only concerned with, when you first receive COVID, all right, or the prevention of getting COVID. But there are people who have had it and still have it till this day and have had it for a long amount of time now and still have symptoms thereafter. The immediate symptoms have faded away. What do you think is almost wrong with the world in terms of what attention is being made to resolving long COVID?
Well, I think you slapped me on the wrist metaphorically when I suggested that we would be swept under the carpet when I had this discussion with you probably 6 months ago when I forecast that this would happen. I mean, what I think was wrong with the world is a huge problem, and I'm not an expert, but I just think the focus is so much on. We've got some devastating political scenarios, economic scenarios. Fundamentally, I think the focus is on money and commercialism and, getting things established in terms of getting businesses and people back into jobs, all of which have a priority. But I absolutely think that those whose lives have been changed by having COVID and now having had their life completely changed have been forgotten. There is no support. And it is a crying shame in literally those words, because I think it's a national health crisis. There is resource. Surely there is resource somewhere. So why are all these people and all those people that love them and all the families that love them watching so many, and we're in millions. We've been, defined as millions of people now suffering long-term multiple, effects of long COVID, which are life-changing: wheelchairs, blindness, organ damage, heart attacks, suicides. I mean, all of those are happening every day in my community, and nobody seems to give a damn. I'm sorry, but that's how it feels.
So this is what's happening here in the UK, all right? This is what's happening in your circles, in your group circles. And it seems like, and I really, apologies if this is not the proper phrase to say, but it feels like the world's burning right now. It feels like there's so much happening around us in so many different countries and cities and peoples, and there's death, there's these incidents, there's the police, there's so much is just very, very, it's become very overwhelming. I was choked up a little bit the other day. I think it was on Tuesday when we were talking about, things occurring in the world, and it's really just hit me. I was talking to Joy and something came over me and it was like, wow, so much is happening, and hearing you say that, and
It's
then
all
couple
the
that, Nick, right,
capacity that
with
I feel to be able to help people seems to have gone a lot. My
dwindled.
power, my
Yes.
energy, and I hear all these horrible things that are happening worldwide, and so many different groups for different reasons suffering, and you're almost embarrassed to put your own hand up and say, actually, I could do with some help too, but, I'll go in the back of the queue. And I feel like that. I don't want to ask for help. And there's so many people, I think, that are still feeling quite humbled by the immense amount of tragedy that's going on. And it just seems as though, the government attitudes are so diverted to the macro level competition in commercialism and economy, when I think people should be put first. I really do.
So speaking about people being put first, right? Now, there has been an estimate of 314,000 835 new coronavirus cases in
In
the past
India,
year
yes.
in India, and in approximately 3 hours in 20 minutes, the last scheduled flight from India ahead of the new coronavirus travel curves arrived is in the UK. It's gonna happen, right?
That angers me so much.
What?
Why wasn't it shut down quicker? I mean, we've got 20 of the 40 passport control desks at Terminal 2 open. We can't open any more because of social distancing. We've had about 20 flights in, each with 300 people on it, paying about £2,500 compared to a £400 economy fare they should be paying. And have they come straight through and not been tested? Yes. And we've already got over 200 people carrying the Indian variant in the UK. We had 100 on Monday when Matt Hancock stood up. That number has doubled. It didn't need to double if we'd have done something about it. Why are we sitting on our backsides saying how wonderful it is to be out in the sun in a pub garden when we have got what I consider to be a really lethal, dangerous variant that we do not know whether the vaccine is going to help us against it, and we're letting 20 flights with 300 people on each flight come into the country without testing people.
Now, Nick,
it really
Nick,
angers me.
Nick, you see that? Hold that thought, hold that sentiment. I did say to you, I'm going to do my best to cheer you up, all right, by
Yes,
hearing my
please.
voice. But we're talking on serious topics. This is life threatening issues right now. Regarding, how this country and this government is dealing with things, right? We're going to put that to one side right now, because this almost mirrors, what affects our sense of national pride. All right. The things that happens in this country, the way we view things that happen outside of this country, our contribution, our support, our facilitation, or our, reluctance to do things determines, influences our sense of pride regarding, being British. Would you say that you are proud to be British? And would you even define yourself as being British?
I would have to define myself as being British, although technically I'm half Scottish. So whenever Scotland play England, I always have a bit of a conundrum. I'm not proud to be British at the moment. I'm not. I think our government has completely embarrassed us in terms of the way it has dealt with this whole scenario. The only thing I do feel proud of is that they got the vaccines quickly and they ordered them in bulk. And I think that is an excellent thing, but it does not make up for the amount of lethargy and the amount of mistakes, particularly that were made earlier on in failing to do stuff quick enough.
You know what? I'm going to say this again, all right? Very heavy for me tonight. Just hearing the amount of weightiness.
No, I feel guilty now. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. This is not why. Listen, all right. So I'm not doing this for you to feel guilty, but it brings that sense of. And one thing I think about me, Nick, is that I'm not going to withhold my humanity here on this show, right? When I get affected, I'm going to do my best to demonstrate that in its full capacity, right? There is a reluctance to, demonstrate our full breadth of being human. But here on this show, I want us to be open. I want us to be honest. Even when you said, I'm going through long COVID, and yet there are issues that you're very aware of overseas, in India specifically, and you feel a bit guilty. You feel a bit reluctant to say, well,
I do feel
need
guilty.
help
There's
too.
1,000 people dying a day in India, and we just don't seem to be acknowledging, that this is something, we should be aware of or doing anything about. We just don't seem to have any, cognizance of how dangerous it is.
What I'm going to say to this is, Nick, in the next I'm not going to be on radio for the next 3 days, but I'm going to be watching the news, and I'm going to be back on Monday. And we're going to hopefully see that this world binds together at a time where, COVID has really showed us, life can be here and gone tomorrow. All right, our lives can change in a day.
Yeah,
Let's really fuel the amount of optimism that we really need, the amount of hopefulness that we need. All right, we need to almost eradicate this sense of hopelessness and helplessness that we found ourselves in so many times throughout these lockdowns and constant lockdowns. I'm hoping within the next 3 days, as we find ourselves slowly out of this roadmap here, we can see how we can open our arms and stretch our arms to other countries and other cities, as well as the city of London and the UK. Listen, Nick, always I know we're getting deep. We do this. Sometimes we're very jovial. Other
yeah.
nights like
Some
this, we
nights I
get
have
very
to
deep.
get a
But
bit deep.
we have to
But
be human.
you always cheer me up. It's nice to talk, isn't it? It's
It
good to
is.
talk, as they say. Yeah.
It really is, and it's great to talk to you too, Nick. Listen, whenever you want to give me a shout, I will always do my best to make room for you and give you a chuckle, all right? At least give you a little slight chuckle. You stay positive for me, my friend, and please stay optimistic. We need you. We need your energy. I need your conversation, all right? I love to speak to you again, and I look forward to hearing from you next week.
Thank you. Thanks, Lion.
All right, you take care. That's my good friend Nick out there in Cheltenham. Right now, I'm also joined by Haley. Haley, talk to me today, all right? I'm going to say this now. You can probably sense I'm teetering on the edges of being quite emotional, what's happening out there in the world. Some people are focused on, India. Other people are focused on climate change. Other people are focused on the death rates in America. There are so many things to focus on. Tonight, let's tackle climate change, shall we? Let's touch on climate change if we can. Welcome to the show, Haley.
And thank you for welcoming me, and it's always a pleasure. Can I just compliment the last caller, though, because I think it's important when people express themselves well and make very good points about how other people might be feeling in society. And being a strong person, I'm a particularly strong person. Over the last year, I've helped so many people, but I've never in my life been one who asked for help. And but recently, I've suddenly thought, wow, I'm not as holding it together as I always have been. And so things affect us, and listening to the last caller articulating such a thing, who's a strong person, it was just wonderful. But a great call, and I like to compliment people when I like their calls. I enjoyed it, so please call again.